you turn on your i-magicut, within 3 seconds the element will be hot enough and ready for use. For a simple straight cut, open the lid, lay your ribbon across the base using the purple lines as a guide. Hold the ribbon in place and lower the lid. Then you're going to press the button and hold it down for 2 to 5 seconds. How long you hold the button down is going to depend on the type of thickness of your ribbon. Release the button and your ribbon is cut. So like I said, you're just going to hold this down. And I have slightly longer fingers, so I can hold it in the center. If you have shorter hands, you can pull it towards the end, or if it helps, you can put it somewhat centered and use your hands top and bottom. So whatever works best for you. So use your guides to make a nice straight cut. Close your lid. Hold your button down. And there you go. This beautifully straight cut piece of grosgrain ribbon that's sealed on both ends. Amazing little machine. Now you can do the same thing on an angled cut. So I'm just going to lay my ribbon across using my purple guide. So I'm going to use this angle with this angle. You can stretch this out however you wish, but just use your guides to make sure that you get a nice crisp straight line. So once you have your proper angle, you can hold your ribbon top and bottom of your machine, close it down again, press your button 3 to 5 seconds, lift it up, and again, a beautiful angled cut. Both sides are cut on the same angle as well as sealed, so you're going to prevent any ribbon from fraying. Now for a fishtail cut. All you're going to do is take another piece of ribbon. My pink one was a little too short there, so I'm just showing you on a different ribbon now. You're going to fold this in half, and I found it quite beneficial for me to make sure that my top and bottom of my ribbon are folded, and I'm just sort of creasing that with my fingers, and that's going to give me a nice crisp center line. If you misfold your ribbon, you will notice that your fishtail will not be as accurate as you may like. So the thing to keep in mind is that whatever angle you place it on, in order to cut the fishtail, you want your longer angle to be towards the top. So place your folded ribbon now across using your same angles as you did for your angled cut, holding that in place, close your machine, and this time you're going to hold it for the full 5 seconds. Remove the lid, open up your ribbon, and you have this amazing, perfectly cut fishtail. I don't know too many people that can do that with a pair of scissors. And like I said earlier, this is sealed here, so you'll prevent any fraying. So I always find that when I'm using pre-cut ribbon pieces, when I go to tie a bow or add it to any of my projects, that I tend to get some more fraying on the end of my ribbons. You won't have that anymore. So this is a great way to use up, or to use less bits of ribbon. You'll have more to use for more of your projects. If at any time you notice that the tool is not cutting or sealing properly, there's a few things you could try. First off, make sure that your element is clean. With repeated cutting, you can end up with bits of ribbon residue around the element. So to clean it, you simply leave the machine on for 5 to 10 seconds after you've used it with the lid down. And this is a good idea to do this every time you use the i-magicut, as it just prolongs the life of your element. So like I said, make sure that it's left in the on position, your light is on, your lid is closed. You may notice a bit of smoke, and that's just the element cleaning, sort of cleaning itself. It will burn off any bits of ribbon residue that are on the element itself, and then once that's done, just switch it to the off position and let it cool down. I know that the Imaginisce people tell me that it takes about 3 seconds to cool down. I do not want to burn myself, so I just give it a few extra seconds. You can even open the lid and just make sure that it's still in the off position, the light's off, and that it is giving it some time to cool. Like I said earlier, I am accident prone, and I frankly do not want to burn myself on an element, so just make sure that it's cooled down. Once it is, you're just going to take a regular piece of paper towel and you're just going to wipe that element gently. You don't want to bend it. It is a very thin piece of wire that works as your element, so make sure that you don't bend it. If you do bend it, try and straighten it as best you can, because that's what's going to give you those nice, straight, crisp cut lines. So just gently wipe off any of that extra ribbon residue. And like I said a few moments ago, it's a great idea to make sure that you clean this after every use, as it just prolongs the life of your machine. Another reason might be that your batteries are dying, so simply just replace your batteries. Another reason could be that your element is not taut enough inside the cradle, so just make sure that the cradle arms are tight enough and pulling that element into a perfect crisp line. If it's not, you can always just pull these cradle arms back a little bit just to tighten up the strength of the element. And the final reason might be that your element is dying. As I mentioned earlier, your element should last for a very long time, and Imaginisce will be coming out with some replacement elements very soon. So here are a few tips and techniques when working with different types of ribbon. I'm going to start off with some organza, and I'm using white organza, and I found that when I'm using a lightweight ribbon such as this or a satin, that if you hold your button down for too long, you can actually scorch the ends of this, and because it's a lighter color ribbon, it showed up. So just make sure that you only hold down your button here in order to have the element seal the end of the ribbon for about 2 seconds. It cuts amazingly through the organza and seals it beautifully, but again, just hold it down for 2 seconds. And each time you'll get a beautiful cut, sealed ends, so you don't have to worry about any fraying. So an organza, this tool works amazing on, cuts it, seals it, but do not hold it down for longer than the 2 seconds, because you will get some scorching coloring on the ends of your ribbon if you do that. Grosgrain ribbon, it works amazing on a grosgrain ribbon. For straight cuts, hold it down about 2 seconds. You'll see here a nice straight cut. Oops, didn't hold into place there. And you've got a beautifully cut grosgrain end in a straight. For angled cuts, you can hold it down for about 4 seconds, so just use your grid lines on the sides there. Hold that in place. And there you have your angled. So it's just a little bit longer. And if you're wanting to do the fishtail type, like I said, fold your ribbon in half. And this generally works well with a wider ribbon, but if you have a fine, like the organza ribbon, just if it's thinner ribbon, then just make sure that you crease that properly. Again, holding this on the same angle, and you want the inside of your V closest to your hinge is the best way that I can describe on how to do this, other than just continuously playing with it. Hold the button down for about 5 seconds, and you have this sealed end cut in a perfect fishtail. I just love that it makes it so easy, and I don't know how to cut a perfectly even fishtail every single time. It's just amazing to me. Another ribbon that works well is a satin ribbon. This is a finer ribbon, and again, I found that when working with lighter ribbons, you do not want to hold your button down to seal it with your element for too long, because it can discolor the ribbon. So again, just lay this in, and this is very much like your organza ribbon, that if you're making a straight cut or an angled cut, hold it down for about 2 seconds, and if you're making the fishtail, hold it down for about 4. Whoops. And like I said, a perfect angled fishtail every single time. Sealed there, I don't have to worry about that fraying. And like I said, I'm working with all synthetic fibers. I did find in the studio while I was playing with the i-magicut, the seam binding that we happen to have on hand, and it doesn't say anywhere on here what this seam binding is actually like what type of fiber it is. It says that it's some sort of rayon, but I don't know 100%. So I recommend using the i-magicut tool on scrap pieces of ribbon before you use your cut actual pieces for any of your projects, because I found that the seam binding did not cut when I used the tool here. I'll show you. I got this scorch line through the ribbon and it didn't cut or seal that. So I recommend that when you're using this tool, before you use any of your ribbon pieces that you've already previously cut for any of your projects, that you use it first and then go ahead and cut that using the tool for any of your project pieces. Here I'm going to show you another wide grain, and again it's just so easy to cut, holding it down. Perfect cut. An angled cut would be in the same manner, and again this one could be cut in a fishtail as well. There's your angle, and to fold it in half, oops, this end sealed my ends together slightly, that's okay. There you have a perfectly cut fishtail every single time. That still amazes me even after using it. In my opinion, I did try and cut some tulle, and here I have just this black piece of tulle. In my opinion, I probably would stick to scissors for this and not use the i-magicut for this, and this is mainly because I find that when I'm using tulle it generally does not fray, but it seemed to actually melt the end here where I did cut it, and it gave me this thicker line, I'm not sure if you can quite see that, on my tulle, and I just didn't really like that. So because it kind of sort of melted it, I would probably still use my scissors for that. And again, that's just my preference. You could try it and see how you like it. You may get different outcomes for yourself. I found that the thicker the ribbon is, or if there's ruffles or things like that, it tends to take a little bit longer. I did try to cut some of the tooling we had here, this ruffled tulle, and again it just did not cut it the way I would have liked to, because it gave me this melted end to it. And like I said, tulle generally doesn't fray, so I would prefer to use my i-magicut on grosgrain, satin, organza, even like a taffeta ribbon. Here I have a taffeta, and I would use that on that type of ribbon. Cut and seal the ends instead of having to worry about such a very lightweight like a tulle. Just mainly because I'm not always sure what is synthetic fibers and what is not. So there you have it, a great little machine that I can see using over and over again and getting a lot of use out of.